Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's live stream. Hope all of you are doing well today. We are live and direct from YouTube as we stream here live the latest cruise news from all the cruise lines. Plus, we share what it is like to sail on board a mini day cruise. We have that little interesting interview coming up later in the program. But first of all, welcome in, everybody. I'm Tyler. Thank you so much for joining us for today's inaugural edition of the Cruise News Live. Of course, we do the quick takes every other day, but this is the first episode of the live show. So welcome, everybody. And again, this show is where we go over all the cruise news you need to know every single day. So if you have not done so already, feel free to go down below and hit that subscribe button. It shows YouTube that this content is really good. And also, it shows really much YouTube that this content and this live stream is very good if you smash that like button. Again, it will greatly helps show YouTube that what I do here at the Cruise Junkie is valuable and it helps people. So if you could just simply do those two things, which if you have not done so already, to subscribe and like the video, it goes a long way. Anyway, I wanted to welcome all of you into today's show. We're going to be here for a little bit, explain some cruise news, right? There's lots of cruise news over the past 24 hours, which we got to explain. We have news from Carnival, news from MSC with the MSC Divina, and then we also see we have a story, I believe, from the former Empress of the Seas. It's finally back sailing. Plus, we're going to do a live Q&A a little bit later in the show. So before we do that, again, we're going to have a live Q&A as we speak right now on our Discord channel. We have some folks tuning in. If you have not joined the Discord channel already, again, there's a link pinned down below in the description where you can join it, where we have a live Q&A channel where we're going to be answering your cruise questions. So feel free to put those down in the live Discord Q&A channel on board the Cruise Junkie Discord. And I'm going to go answer those a little bit later in the program. But without further ado, before we get to the cruise news, every time we do one of these live shows, we like to welcome the audience into the show. So I want to say hey to the first person in the chat, Nathan from Best of Boat World. He was here. We also had Anthony Simone, one of our moderators here, along with Nick from Travel with Nick, one of our two moderators here on this show. And also we have Guide UN7. Hope I pronounced that one right, but good to have you in here. Thank you so much for joining the show, of course, all the way over there from Germany. Absolutely great to have international viewers here on the Cruise News Show. But before we get into the cruise news, we have to ask the most important question on everyone's mind. When is your next cruise? Put those down in the chat below, and we'll go ahead and answer those questions, of course, in the live Discord Q&A, and we'll also go ahead in a few minutes and see where everyone is watching the show from. So without further ado, we're going to get into the first story of the day, which is from Carnival Cruise Line. That is that they dropped their terminal COVID-19 testing plan. So this is very interesting because, of course, Carnival Cruise Line has dropped its plan to carry out COVID-19 testing at the terminal, according to a letter sent to guests by the cruise line president, Christine Duffy. And here's a quote from Christine Duffy. It says, "While we had previously raised the possibility of more on-site testing at terminals, the logistics of making this service widely available to a large number of guests did not make it a viable option," Christine Duffy wrote. So that's very interesting right there. So basically, Carnival is making it so that, in theory, right, everyone could be tested at the terminal if they needed to, right? That means basically so they didn't have to do at-home testing. You could go to the terminal and get the test. That was probably what the plan was. However, according to Christine Duffy, it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. Another thing which was interesting from this article was the need for the ability of this service, which was again at the terminal testing, was enhanced by the new CDC rules stating that as of September the 13th, pre-cruise testing for vaccinated guests must be taken within 2 days prior of the sail date. And again, as the cruise lines revealed this plan for at-terminal testing, it said that the service would be chargeable for a per-person fee, which was to be established. The mobile labs that were again originally planned to be, that was unfortunately canceled, but the mobile labs that they're talking about that were canceled were planned to be located either in or adjacent to Carnival's terminal or within walking distance. So that's very interesting. So basically, they're going to have mobile COVID testing. They were going to, I should say, at the port, but that got canceled due to There was no ability according to Carnival and logistics, it looks like. So yeah, it's very sad to see that you have to find another place to get tested. I believe Carnival and the cruise terminals will still have testing at the port, but those will only there for like the unvaccinated minors that will need the test. So it really is interesting that Carnival had problems getting their at terminal testing, because I know that's needed for back-to-back cruises, needed for a lot of cruisers to at terminal testing now with a whole bunch of new tests. So very, very interesting. That is for sure with the story there with Carnival. And we'll have to wait and see how everything plans out with Carnival's new protocols and, of course, their sailings. Because, of course, Carnival had the original Have Fun, Be Safe protocols, which, of course, I covered on the Cruise News Live Quick Takes earlier this week, where we did two shows with 2 stories on Carnival. And there was a lot of valuable information there. But again, it's interesting to see how Carnival plays with these new protocols, right? Of course, we remember the original protocols were so relaxed, right? Of course, Carnival's original protocols were pretty much none, right? Like, for example, we had, there basically was this asking for originally, when they first started sending us out of the U.S., so it was originally proof of vaccination and mask while boarding the ship. But after you got on board, you didn't have to wear it really at all on board. And that was really the protocols that they really had for the original sailings. There's a little more minor ones, but there wasn't anything really that complex. But now they added the protocols, more protocols to the Have Fun, Be Safe protocols, which include testing, mask in congregated areas. And again, this is weird with Carnival, is how they say congregated areas, right? So basically, Carnival, you don't have to wear the mask on, again, you don't have to wear the mask on basically certain like indoor spaces. Like, they're saying that you should wear the mask indoors. However, the only places you have to actually wear the mask on board the Carnival cruise ship is in the elevator inside, right? Like, they're requiring you to do it there. Entering and exiting the dining room and the buffet, which is interesting because I have seen a lot of cruisers getting away with not having to wear the mask walking up to the buffet in Carnival. Again, these Have Fun, Be Safe protocols are very, very cool. They're not like fun and cool, but they're cool that Carnival is taking these steps to keep cruisers safe, which is it's really great to see. Of course, Carnival was not part of the Healthy Sail Panel, which of course what Royal Caribbean was a part of back when Carnival, not Norwegian and Royal Caribbean earlier last summer, they collabed and made the Healthy Sail Panel, which Carnival, according to Frank Del Rio and Richard Fain, which was the Royal Caribbean's and Norwegian's president, according to them, Carnival did have a chair on the panel where they were watching the findings. So it is interesting to see how each cruise line is dealing with the protocols. Again, it's not a blanketed approach. Again, if you're sailing on one cruise line, you go on another one, the protocols will be totally different, which is very interesting to say none the least. So earlier in the show, I asked, where is your next cruise going to be from and how many days? And Nathan from Best of Boat Worlds, he says maybe Wonder of the Seas. Of course, as we have not seen the video already, yesterday we did a video on the Wonder of the Seas. Make sure you go check it out because we have some very, very interesting information on the Wonder of the Seas. And some folks say they have no new cruises booked so far. Well, that is sad to see, but hopefully that changes very, very soon. And again, if you have any cruise questions, feel free to put those in the Discord in the live cruise Q&A channel. We have some questions in there. We'll get to those in a moment. But before we do that, we have to go sail on to our next story over here on the other computer, of course, because if you see me looking over here, guys, I'm looking over here at the other computer to pull up the cruise news story, because if I pull up on this computer that's we're streaming on, right, the camera's on right now, it would probably cause the computer to crash. So we don't want to mess up with the streaming software like we did on some other live streams on my other channels. So anyhow, we're gonna move over to Port Canaveral. The one, the only, the MSC Divina has officially resumed sailings from Port Canaveral. Sailing for Port Canaveral the first time, MSC Divina is kicking off a series of cruises to the Bahamas and the Caribbean today. This is the second MSC cruise ship after the MSC Magnolia to resume sailings from North America. For the first sailing, this the 2012 built Bohemian vessel is sailing to the Bohemian destination, Ocean Key, on 2 and 3 night itineraries. Now, I want to point this up. Of course, by the way, the visuals you're seeing here, this is some shots of MSC Divina sailing from Port Canaveral last night. This is credited to NSF Fleet Cam. Go check them out. Again, amazing 24-hour port web camera, so credit to Fleet Cam for those pics. But this is interesting about the MSC Divina, right? It is sailing, again, 3 and 4 night cruises. And again, what makes this very interesting, right, is, again, it's not uncommon to have 3 and 4 night cruises, but what is interesting is the dates it leaves. I was blown away by the dates. So I was originally thinking the MSC Divina would sail Friday to Monday and then Monday to Friday, right? Because, of course, the Mariner, almost every other cruise line that does 3 and 4 night sailings, they either leave on a Friday to Monday or Monday to Friday. But no, the MSC Divina is leaving Thursday to Sunday and then Sunday to Thursday, which is weird. Again, I was really surprised that they were actually sailing those kind of itineraries, which was Thursday to Sunday and then Sunday to Thursday, because it's just weird. I mean, most other cruise liners, again, sail the opposite, where it's Friday to Monday and then Monday to Friday, because, again, this may be interesting for MSC, and I wonder how well they'll do with them operating these itineraries, because here's the deal. Most of the other cruise liners, they sail the 3-night weekend cruises because people can take off only one day, which is only really Friday, to go on these cruise ships. So they're only missing like 1 day of work, versus if you take this new MSC cruise out of Port Canaveral, you're going to be missing 2 days of work, Thursday and Friday. Which I don't know if that's a good selling point, right? Again, it's very interesting, but I guess the good downfall, or the positive, is that from the Sunday to Thursday cruise, you technically are only taking off 3 days, right? You have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you're back on Thursday. So I guess that's good. You can get a 4-night cruise in, which I guess is pretty cool. But at the same time, it's just, I don't get the selling point, because the big selling point of these shorter cruises is that you can take the short weekend cruise away from work and be back before work starts on Monday if you live in Orlando or wherever the ship's sailing from. Like if you're sailing out of Galveston, you live in Galveston or that area, and you take one of these 3-night cruises, you can be back at work or school by 9 o'clock, which is a really big selling point. But however, with this MSC date, again, with them sailing on Thursday to Saturday, I mean Sunday, I'm not sure how that's working out with. I don't know how many people they will be, of course, getting on these ships, because this is definitely interesting. That is for sure. But anyhow, back to this story, because of course, a regular stop on MSC Divina's cruises, which makes this very, very interesting, is that the MSC Divina will be leaving from Port Canaveral, of course, but it will be stopping at Ocean Key in the Bahamas, and this ship will be basically there from which most other cruise lines don't do this anymore. A lot of other cruise lines do this, but now MSC is bringing it back, which is, of course, them staying in Ocean Key very, very late into the evening, which is very, very cool. Okay, here's the deal. I mean, I see some videos from the Ship Life and other parts of them staying late at Ocean Key, and it's a really big selling feature, right? I mean, you can spend up to 11 o'clock at night out at a cruise port and not have to leave, and you get to spend nightlife on the island, which I always wanted to do. I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool. Like Coco Key, they know they originally, last year, they did some overnights, but they haven't done those since. But would love to do late nights at a cruise port. I love what MSC is doing there. I don't know about the Divina. I don't know if she will be doing longer nights, because the big selling point with Ocean Key was it is close to Miami, which means they can basically leave Ocean Key at midnight and still be at the pilot station at 5 a.m. because it's only 90 miles away or so. I'm not sure about how far, we should say when the dates of when the Divina, because the Divina is staying out of Port Canaveral, and that's a good a lot of nautical miles to get up from Ocean Key, which is all the way near Miami, all the way up to the Space Coast. So yeah, that's interesting, but it's definitely good to see the MSC Divina back in operation here from the Port Canaveral. I will be planning to go see the MSC Divina, but there's going to be some challenges, of course, as mentioned, that she does leave on a Thursday, which probably won't be able to make most of those sailaways. And Sunday, I am trying to make it to one of those Sunday sailaways, which is great because they're in the evening. So I do have time to do my job on Sunday and get back in time. So very looking forward to seeing the Divina. But good thing though is MSC is bringing the Megavilia up here to the Space Coast in November, and that'll be leaving on Saturday. So that'll be good to see that we're going to be having MSC 2 ships operational here out of the Space Coast. So there you go. That is the update with MSC for the day. Now, we're going to go ahead and hop over to Discord. We're going to be answering your questions live and direct. So we have one question in the queue, and if you have not done so already, feel free to put your question down here in the queue. While we wait for people to put their question in the queue, we're waiting right now. Again, I want to go ahead and ask a question for the folks in the chat. Would you sail MSC? Now, again, I know this is like, Tyler, this is a very basic question, but the question is, would you sail MSC? Because lately MSC's been not getting good press. Of course, they had the Virtuosa, which is, that's a big deal. I didn't cover that on the Cruise News show, Quick Takes, because the story was kind of late when I first started the Cruise News Quick Takes show, but that was a big story with all the cases on board there. But really, the MSC, like, I mean, they got flack from all the people here in the U.S. for having terrible food. It was like, the food on picture, right? It looks really good. But according to people who actually been eating the MSC Cruise Line's food, it's been very, let's just put it this way, as bland. Like, it has no flavor or seasoning. So, yeah, again, it is interesting to see. I would like to do MSC just because they're very affordable. So even if the food is not, if it's edible, right? I mean, I could just be eating pizza for most meals. At the buffet's open for dinner, I'll just be eating pizza because I heard that pizza's pretty good. So, but I don't know. I would definitely be trying MSC. I'm waiting for the Divina. I'm waiting for the Divina to be moving her itineraries. I believe she's going to be switching itineraries. Not quite sure yet, but I'm looking forward to doing the Divina later this year or next year. Which hopefully she'll be in the Canaveral for a while. I was looking at doing the Megavilia, but the problem with the Megavilia, folks, is that Megavilia is doing 7 nights, which is a little bit long for trying out a cruise line, as I should say. Again, this is longer because for trying out a cruise line, like, again, you don't want to go into a cruise line with their 14-night sailing, because you could be like, I don't really like this cruise ship, and then you're stuck on it for 14 nights. But if you do a shorter sailing, you could, ease your way in. So do like a 2-night cruise or a 3-night. That's probably the best way to ease into a cruise ship. But we have some questions here in the Discord channel. Again, if you have not joined the Cruise Junkie Discord, feel free to do it. Links down in the description below. You can hang out with fellow moderators and friends of the channel, such as Nathan from Best of Boat Worlds and Travel with Nick. So I have a question here from Nathan. He says, hello, Tyler. What is your opinion on Wonder of the Seas? And is it better or worse than other ships in the class? Yeah, so Nathan, again, this could be a whole show onto itself, my thoughts and opinions on the Wonder of the Seas. And also, before we get into my thoughts and opinions, many of them, the mini thoughts and opinions, I should say, let me know down in the live chat if you want to see me personally giving my honest opinions for a whole show of this one ship, or just certain ships. It doesn't have to be just the Wonder, but just any ship or any news. So I guess my honest opinions for an hour, which could be turned into a rant, but just let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see that. But my opinion, Nathan, is I am looking forward to seeing it here in North America, but I don't know how well it will do in China now, because Royal Caribbean has released what venues will be on board the Wonder, and I gotta say, unless the ship goes into a dry dock before it heads to China later next year, I don't know what in the world the Chinese people will be eating, because all the restaurants on board, according to the Royal Caribbean website, which is pretty accurate, and according to the concept art of all the restaurants and everything, it's the same restaurants they have here in North America, such as El Loco Fresh. I'm gonna go pull up what they got on board, like all the actual restaurants. But while I'm doing that, I mean, my point is that basically they're all the same here in as North America when they're coming over to the China, which again, it would be interesting to see why in the world did they make this decision. Of course, we know it was originally scheduled to go to China, and it's still going, right? Again, Royal Caribbean has said that the Wonder of the Seas is still going to China, right? Because if you look at some photos of the ship, which I was going to put this one into the show, there's a photo online of the Wonder of the Seas from the interior, and you can see that they do have Chinese a language on board, of course, with the signs, like the Clipper and whatever the pub's called, like the Clipper pub, the pub where they have the singer usually, the English pub. It has the Chinese language underneath it, so you can tell the ship was designed for China and is still planning to sail from China. But it is interesting to see why they chose to put North American restaurants. Again, I know this deployment could have been the reason why, but we're not quite sure. But again, I'm going to pull up right here. So I'm pulling up the RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out Matt's website already, feel free to check it out down in that's the description. But go ahead and check out RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com/Wonder of the Seas. Great resource. So this is a thing where basically he posted that has all the changes of what the original plans were versus here. Some of the bigger changes on the Wonder compared to all the other Oasis class ships was that they have a suite neighborhood, which the other Oasis class ships have a suite neighborhood, but not to this extent. Like, this is like literally a suite neighborhood. Like, I mean, on the Oasis class, deck 17 and upwards is a neighborhood, but this is literally, you're going to have your own personal restaurant. You're going to have a home bar on the top. So it's really interesting what they did there with the suite neighborhood. I would love to go more into it and explain it to you guys, but I don't have the photos up here right now, so I won't be able to do that. But also, they're having a new venue on board, the Wonder, which is different to all the other Oasis class ships, called the View, which is VUE, and basically that's a cantilevered pool bar, which is very interesting to see if they're putting this on board the ship. And of course, they also have on board the Wonder of the Seas a playground, which I'm not happy with, okay? Here's the deal. I'm going to say it honestly right now. I am disappointed at them removing a flow rider, especially the ship coming to North America, to put a playground in. Very, very disappointed with that, because I know how long the lines are going to be for this one floor they're going to have on the Wonder. And again, the lines on the smaller ships, like the Radiance class, not the Radiance class, but the Voyager class, you know, those lines for just one floor, they're long, and that's even a ship with less capacity. So imagine an Oasis class ship on a sea day. Yeah, that's going to be not a good move for them. So that's why I'm disappointed in this new Wonder Playscape interactive children's area that has slides and rock climbing and cool stuff like that. It's a great concept, but where they put it is an absolute mistake. Just because they removed the flow rider to put in one of these, and of course, the flow riders, Oasis class ship really needs two flow riders. One flow rider on Oasis class ship, that's gonna be crazy for me. But another interesting thing that they had in the Wonder, which again is back to my point, was Wonder really actually going to go to China, or was again, because the Wonder of the Seas, right? It only has not that much Chinese. Like, of course, the Spectrum has a lot of Chinese restaurants, a lot of Asian kitchens and stuff. Here on the Wonder, you got the Lime and Coconut Bar, which is a Caribbean landscape, and of course, like Norwegian did back in a while back. I was talking to Nathan a while from Nathan Best of Boat Worlds a while back, and we were saying that, like, it's very interesting that on board the Wonder of the Seas, right, that they have the Lime and Coconut and a Caribbean pool deck with lots of water and stuff, versus when you go on the Norwegian Joy, which was again originally designed for China. It had all the Asian things that they love, like the pool deck and everything. It was originally designed to have basically no pool. Basically, it was all grass and everything, because they only had like one small pool and everything. And versus the Wonder, which has a big pool deck, which again, supposedly, according to the folks from Royal Caribbean, like you see on the Spectrum, you see the Chinese cruises, there isn't that many folks doing the flow rider, there isn't that many folks doing the pool. So I don't know how great that will work out for them. because they have a lot of normal restaurants on Royal Caribbean, such as the Boardwalk. Here's the thing: the Boardwalk Doghouse, which I don't know about the people again in China when they get sailing. Don't know how much they like the Doghouse, El Loco Fresh, and some other venues. I don't know how much these actually be a hit. But another thing is like for restaurants, specialty restaurants on board. You have Giovanni's, Hooked Seafood, Johnny Rockets, Playmakers. Again, not sure how much these will be a hit when the ship does go to China. So my point is, out of this whole conversation right here, is when will this ship go back into dry dock to get refurbished to China? Because here's the deal. As the way the Wonder of the Seas is right now, it has to go into a huge refurbishment before it goes to China. Because, again, the features on board are, as of right now, designed for the North American/European market, not designed for the Chinese market, compared to Spectrum of the Seas. So, Nathan, hope that answered your question. It was a really long, drawn-out answer, but that's a very important point that some folks aren't making here, which is this ship needs to go into dry dock before it goes to China, because as of right now, again, the only really venues that are suited for that market is Izumi, which even that's a North American take on it. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. That is for sure. But we're going to move on to another question. Nick, one of my great friends and moderators of the channel, he says, do you think Adventure of the Seas will make its way to Texas this year still? So Nick, I have an update with you for the Adventure of the Seas to answer your question. As of right now, she is on one of her final cruises out of Nassau to the Bahamas, right? And she'll be heading all the way over to Cadiz, Spain. She'll head into dry dock. And then after that, if all goes according to plan, she will be heading to Galveston. So, Nick, to answer your question, the Adventure of the Seas is still coming to Galveston. At least, again, at last updated it was. So, unless something major has changed and Royal Caribbean's booked, the Adventure of the Seas will still be in Galveston immediately after her dry dock in Cadiz. So, hope that answers your question. And there's also one more question from Nick, and he says, Where's one destination you are looking forward to visiting the most in the future? So that's a tough question, Nick, but let me think about that one for a second. There's so many amazing destinations to go to, but I would probably, of course, Coco Key, but I've been there before, so I probably want to count this one as a thing, but definitely the most port I'm looking forward to going to in the future is probably Coco Key again, because that island is amazing. I missed it truly. But island I've not been to already would probably have to be, I have to say Aruba. Probably have to go to Aruba. That would probably be my destination on a cruise ship that I would love to go to in the future. That is for sure. So there you go. That is the live Q&A here on the show. And yeah, again, feel free to join the Discord if you've not done so already. We do these live Q&As almost every single week from going forward here on the Cruise News Live, where we're going to answer your questions. Because this is one of the things I like doing these live shows. I get to communicate with you guys live, unedited. So you have my unedited thoughts and opinions. And yeah, overall, again, love doing these live shows. And again, be reminded that we do the Cruise News live quick takes every single day, or almost about that. We maybe do 6 shows a week pre-recorded, and then one live show, so about 7 shows a week or so. Again, there could be less or more, depends how busy my week is. But again, if we do the show almost every single day, the Cruise News Live quick takes every day at 12 o'clock. So make sure you subscribe and turn the bell on so you'll be notified every time we do another episode of the Cruise News Live Quick Takes. And again, people are really loving those shows. So again, if you've not done so already, subscribe with the bell so you'll be notified when we post one of those shows. And we got an interview coming up with Nathan from Best of Boat Worlds. He's on the line waiting. We're going to go ahead and get to him in a moment. But we also have the story that did not make the cut, with the story with the I believe the Empress of the Seas. That story originally was not making the cut of the show, but I brought it back in, so we're going to get to that in a moment. So And again, we're going to welcome Margie in. So, Margie, good to have you in here. Thank you so much for checking out the show. And again, we appreciate all of you tuning in for the show. And again, if you're just joining us, feel free to hit that like button. Shows YouTube a long way how great the show is. And it really helps the channel. So, yeah, without further ado, let's do the stories that did not make the cut for today's show.
Now it's time for the stories that did not make the cut with the Cruise Junkies.
And it is the stories that did not make the cut for today's show. And we have a story here from the former Royal Caribbean's Empress of the Seas. Of course, Royal Caribbean's one of the two Royal Caribbean ships that they sold during the pandemic. And it is good news for her as she will be setting sail from Mumbai, India, with her Cunella Cruise Line launch, which is great to see that the Empress of the Seas is back in operation. This 1,607 passenger ship, again operated by the new Indian startup cruise line, Cunella Cruise Line, has started operations. And according to the president of the cruise line, it is supposedly doing well so far. They have good COVID protocols according to the cruise line. They have social distancing, like the way they check in guests on board the ship, so they're gonna have some of those. So basically, it says everyone has to be. So basically, the whole for this cruise ship, for the protocols for this new Empress of the Seas, right? The Empress, what the ship's called, the Empress, is basically that you have to be fully vaccinated, PCR tests. Okay, look like we're having lag. Whoa. PCR test. Don't know if you can still hear me. Don't know if you can still see me. Okay, it looks like you can hear me still, so that's good. But in the meanwhile, I'll wait for OBS to hopefully fix itself. I will be listening in to see if it can fix myself. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Looks like it is. Okay, we're back now. We're all good. So we are back again doing these live shows. We do have technical difficulties sometimes, but we are back now. And as mentioned, it appears, of course, the folks over there with this new Indian cruise line, they're having great health and safety protocols, so that is good to see that almost every single cruise line in the world is having this basically 3-step protocol, which is social distancing, PCR test, and fully vaccination, so that is good to see. And again, we're sorry for technical difficulties, folks, for the folks watching on the replay, but it is time now. Nathan's been on the line for a little bit, so it is time to go ahead and get to him. And we're going to talk to Nathan from Best of Boat Worlds about his trip on board the Cape May Lewis Ferry. Nathan, are you ready? Okay, good. We'll get to you right now. And we're here now with Nathan from the YouTube channel Best of Boat Worlds. He's actually currently right on board a ferry right now, and I thought it'd be cool to bring him on board the show here to talk about his trip on the ferry. So Nathan, what is it like traveling on a ferry? Of course, for the folks we know here on the show, we talked about cruise ships here, but what is it like being out there in the middle of the ocean right now?
So currently, right now, we are rocking a little bit, pretty decent right now. So it also you can kind of feel the waves, like as the waves hit the boat. But other than that, it kind of feels like you're on a cruise ship.
That
the fin stabilizers.
That's awesome. Yeah, Nathan was showing us me earlier the amount of ship rocking, and it's, trust me, it was rocking. I'm not sure if he can show us right now. So what are the similarities between cruising and the Cape May Lewis Ferry for the folks who aren't familiar?
So the similarities. So hold on, I will show you guys. So like the similarities. So they do have like a gift shop on board. They also do have a food court. Well,
ooh, a food court. That's awesome.
They have a food court, and back here, if you guys can see, they do have restrooms back there.
Also, a shameless plug right now. If you have not done so already, Nathan has a great video on his channel of the tour of the MV Delaware, so make sure you go check it out. We're gonna get the best part, y'all, of the experience on a ferry. This is why, us cruise lovers, we love traveling on smaller boats, because you can get this view right here. That's right, the wake view, which is of course the best view. So Nathan, congrats on getting on board, because this view is of course, as always, the best view.
And the views are simply amazing. And I'll tell you guys, the Cape May Lewis Ferry is amazing. An hour and a half trip one way, 3 hours round trip. The prices are not that expensive, especially during the summer. We paid $45 to get on board the ferry, so not that expensive when you think about it.
And was that a round trip?
Yes, round trip.
Okay. Yeah, another thing with this ferry pretty cool is you can drive your car on there, which of course all ferries do. But this one you can also travel via foot traffic, which is very cool. So you can basically hop on board. I believe it's cheaper too, doing the foot traffic. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Doing foot passenger, it is cheaper. And one of the cool things about doing foot passenger is that you can do round trip, and you don't have to get off the ferry. Because typically, what most ferry companies do is when it docks, you have to get off. Like, you can't stay on. But if the ferry, when it docks and say Cape May Lewis, and if you're a foot passenger, you do not have to get off the ferry. You can stay on.
That's very, very awesome. Good to hear there for sure. Hey, Nathan, thank you so much for hopping on the show. And by the way, where can folks find you on social media?
You guys can find me on YouTube. Simply just type in Best of Both Worlds.
Thanks, Nathan. Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Cruise News Live. It's been a truly honor sharing all this valuable information with you subscribers every single week. And again, without your support from subscribing, liking the videos, and sharing them, this show could not be possible. So I want to thank you guys. And by the way, check this video out over here. You really will enjoy it. Trust me. I mean, just check it out.